Hey everybody, today is February 6th, so we'll be looking at February 5th MTG stocks. Yet again, sickness hit me, so couldn't do it Tuesday, but a little bit better today. Anyways, we will see that not any huge price spikes today, or I guess yesterday, I should say. Nothing too big. Price decrease, but we can see we got quite a few price increases. We'll be looking at a couple ones here, and then we'll look at a price decrease. And I thought it was kind of interesting to see that the Iron Scale Hydra, which we saw this before, it was like $20, and now it's down to $7. I'm sure it'll keep dropping and etc. And a Secret Layer drop, which was kind of interesting as well. But anyways, our first card here is Doomsday. Doomsday went from 601 to 720, and Doomsday cost black, and it's a sorcery. So you can search your library and graveyard for up to 5 cards, and then you exile the rest. Put the chosen cards on top of your library. In any order, you lose half your life, rounded up. And so tutoring for 5 cards is generally more seen like as a competitive EDH thing, and I don't think, as far as I know, that this was like something that happened in other formats. I think it's usually Commander. But it's interesting to look at this kind of card. I also like the artwork specifically on this one because we see that there's the 5 people and they're kind of around an orb. I think I'm more used to seeing this Doomsday, which I guess has now 5 orbs surrounding one guy. Okay, sure. There's the Invocation, which is pretty neat. Got that Bolus, of course. And that one's not as interesting to me. Just a demon. But anyways, so this could just basically be good. Like, first off, this can go, get you through your deck if you're trying to do a Labman win. And, Labman seems like there's so many other win conditions and etc. But, like, this allows you to get into, like, 2-card combos if you're just really, really searching for something. There's a bunch of ways to use 2-card combos to get infinite mana or kill everybody or whatever. I think when you do this, you're basically at the point where you're like, okay, I have what I need, and I'm going to kill everybody once you use this. Because if you don't, you only have 5 cards left, and you are running out of time. I guess that's why it's called Doomsday, sorta. But interesting card. This probably I wouldn't generally need to use this card because I wouldn't usually go for those types of decks, but definitely a neat card. So let's go ahead and go into our second card, which is Plague of Vermin. Plague of Vermin went from $1 to $6.50, and this was over the week, not just today. And Plague of Vermin cost 6 colorless and 1 black. It's a sorcery, and it's an interesting card. So starting with you, each player may pay any amount of life, repeating this process until no one pays life. Each player creates a 1/1 black rat creature token for each 1 life they paid this way. So what it is you pay, so you start and you say, I'm going to pay 4 life. And then you repeat this process until nobody pays life. So if you pay 4 life, the next person pays 3 life, the next person pays 2 life, the next person pays 1 life, then I believe it goes back to you and you can decide to pay life again if you'd like to. So let's say if you pay another 4 life, and then the next guy pays like 10 life, and then the other guy plays no life. So once that guy has paid no life, that means that this spell has now like actually gone off. At that point in time, each player will make their respective rights for the number of life they played. So if you paid 14 life, you get 14 rats. If the other guy paid 4 life, he gets 4 rats, and etc. So it's kind of an interesting thing. I'm not exactly sure why this one spiked up, but it feels like an EDH thing, right? I mean, I know the whole the new rat Secret Layer came out recently. We talked about that a little bit, and it's okay. That could be a reason, but I don't know if there's something else out there. Maybe it'd be interesting to know if that was the case. But definitely a neat card. There are other cards kind of like this where you pay life, and then other people do, if they want to pay life they can, if they don't, and etc. But anyways, let's go and go to the next card here. This one was kind of interesting to me. This one is Prossh, Sky Raider of Care. I don't know, I'll call it Care. He seems like a caring kind of guy, right? But Prossh went from apparently 178 to 461. And this was also over kind of the week. I was kind of surprised by this because I felt like recently I bought Prossh, and Prossh was like 50 cents. And seeing that he is even, the fact that he is $1 was kind of surprising. And then the fact that he went up to like $3 was more surprising. But regardless, he is a good card, so I guess I can see why. Well, he's a good commander. I don't know how many decks would actually support Prossh in their decks, but commander-wise, he's known to be good. And let's go ahead and go over him if you're not aware what Prossh does. Prossh is a 3 colorless black, red, green, which is Jund colors. He's a legendary creature dragon, and he's a 5/5. When you cast a spell, create X01 red kobold creature tokens named Kobolds of Care Keep, where X is an amount of mana spent to cast Prossh. He has flying, and he can sacrifice another creature for free. Well, you do have to sacrifice a creature, but you don't have to pay any mana. And then Prossh gains +1/+0 until end of turn. Let's go back over this and break it down a little bit. So basically, when you cast him, so he has a converted mana cost of 6 total. You create 6 0/1 red kobold creature tokens that are kobolds of the Care Keep. And what's interesting about that is actually like a card way back when, and they were just like, whatever, we'll just make it an actual card, or make it a token instead of a card. I don't know, whatever. Basically, it's kind of like a goblin token, but an actual card. Yeah, whatever. But anyways, but the thing here to note is that it says where X is the amount of mana spent to cast Prossh. It's kind of weird when you're like, okay, well, shouldn't Prossh always just be 6? Well, the thing is that there are some cards that would make his cast cost more, or etc. But when you look at command zone tax, so if Prossh dies, and then you're like, okay, Prossh dies, he goes to my command zone. Now he costs 2 more because of commander tax. So now he's going to cost 8. And so he actually makes you, so his converted mana cost did not go up, but what it is that it's still, his casting cost went up. So instead of being 6, it's 8. So now you're going to make 8 0/1. So every time that he dies, you still get to make more tokens, and it makes him very valuable in that case. And then the other thing is that he has a free sacrifice outlet, which is really good. So he can sacrifice other creatures, and he gets +1/+0 until end of turn. So I think what a lot of people do is you can go infinite with this pretty easily. One instance would be you would do something like you could do, if you have Phyrexian Altar and then Astronaut's Altar, those 2 cards, you can basically, Prossh comes in, he makes 6 kobolds, and when Prossh dies, you need to cost 2 more. And so with Phyrexian Altar, you sacrifice 3 of those kobolds, 1 for black, 1 for red, 1 for green. You're going to have 3 kobolds left over, and that'll allow you to use Astronaut's Altar to create 6 colorless if you need to. And then you have Prossh, you can sacrifice him for another color. He goes back to your command zone, and now you have a little bit of excess mana, and then you summon him again. He makes 2 more kobolds, and you basically can keep doing this for infinite mana. That's one way to get infinite mana, and there's plenty of other ways, and there's another card which is called Food Chain, and Food Chain is a pretty famous combo with Prossh. Honestly, don't know what Food Chain does that much, but basically it is a way to get, I believe, infinite mana. It's not infinite mana, a way to basically kill people immediately, but I'm pretty sure it's like infinite mana or ways to tutor out things, but infinite mana sounds right. But then, of course, the other thing with Prossh here is that even if you're not going for, because I have a Prossh deck, but I didn't really do like the Food Chain or infinite combos or anything like that. I went more for just like a token general or token matters kind of deck. And the fact that you can sacrifice these other creatures, you have a bunch of tokens on the field, you can suddenly be like, oh, okay, Prossh is going to do like 12 damage to you. And that's kind of spooky when you just sacrifice off a whole bunch of fodder really quick, and then you can regenerate it all. So Prossh has quite a few good things about him, and the fact that you do have a sacrifice outlet on him, and you have a way to generate tokens. You basically just want ways to create value with those tokens slash sacrifice outlet, there are a lot of ways to do that in Gen, which is pretty nice. So anyways, let's go and go to our fourth card of the night, which is Starfield Nick. Starfield Nick went from 1603 to 1348, so this decreased a little bit. And Starfield Nick, let's go and read this off here. This costs 4 colorless and a white. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Okay, so you get to return an enchantment card every upkeep, at the beginning of your upkeep from your graveyard. Alright, as long as you control 5 or more enchantments, each other non-aura enchantment you control is a creature in addition to its other types, and its base power and toughness equal to the convert's mana cost. Kind of interesting. First off, the art's really cool. I like the fact that there's like these constellations, and I guess I don't know. This looks like something from Theros more than Origins because it's from Magic Origins, but whatever. I like the artwork quite a bit. It's very, very nice. Very nice. Be like a very good background, like a desktop background. Be pretty cool. Anyways, so I mean, the fact that you are able to keep getting enchantments back from your graveyard is nice. I'm sure there's ways to basically use this as a way to get an enchantment back, sacrifice it off. That way you don't have to get up to 5 enchantments. Because the problem with getting up to 5 or more enchantments, it makes all your enchantments creatures, which could be really good depending on where you are in the game, but it also could be very bad because your creatures are a lot easier to get rid of than enchantments, that's for sure. And so like yeah, so it's like, I mean, and you know, maybe you're bringing back enchantments that cost like 3, so they're 3 3s, which is whatever. But with Starfield Nick, I think, you know, the main thing here is you bring back an enchantment card every turn. So if you have like some sort of reanimation deck or enchantment matters in general, and if you put some really big enchantments in your deck, like, I mean, even God cards would be pretty good. Any God card. Let's see. I can't think of the white ones, but I know Purphoros, sure, why not? Purphoros. Get Purphoros back if he somehow ever dies. I don't know how you managed to do that, but you could bring it back. But I'm trying to think like where it really shines. I think it's just basically you could just cheat a lot of enchantments that cost a lot and be able to do some really cool things with that. So neat card. Not worth the price in my opinion, only because I don't usually buy cards that much anyways. So, but it's a very good card. Anyways, we'll go ahead and go to our commander of the night, which is Zedruu the Great-Hearted. So this is a card that I've been looking at for quite a while. And I've liked the idea of it, but the only problem I have with Zedruu is that there are very, very mean cards that you can use with Zedruu. And before I get into that, let's go ahead and read what Zedruu actually does. So Zedruu the Great-Hearted cost 1 colorless, blue, red, white. So you are Jeskai or American colors. And he's a legendary creature, Minotaur Monk, which really confused me because I thought he would have been like a goat monk, but apparently Minotaur. He is a 2/4, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of permanents you own that your opponents control, which is kind of a weird effect, right? So you basically have to have ways to give your stuff to your opponents, which seems bad. But the good thing about him is that he does have an ability where you can play Jeskai colors or blue, red, white, and target opponent gains control of target permanent you control. So now you have a way to give your opponent stuff. And you're thinking, okay, well, why would I want to do that? In normal circumstances, you generally wouldn't. I mean, but if you build your deck around this, there's some very good things you can do to make this useful. And usually people will like put in, I can't think of the name of it right now, but they'll put in very, very bad things in the sense of like, you don't get to play creatures anymore kind of cards, which is pretty awful. And, you know, I don't generally like playing the type of cards where it's like you make someone's life miserable playing. You're like, oh, you just don't get to play your deck anymore. That sounds pretty awful to me. For other people, it's fine, and you can do like the stacks thing and then whatever. But for me, I generally don't like to do that kind of stuff. But aside from that, there is ways to use his ability without being so destructive to your opponent. And I think this was kind of like an interesting one. It's going to be our random card for the night. And this is called Delaying Shield. So Delaying Shield is a 3 colorless and a white. So it's an enchantment, and if damage be dealt to you, you may prevent that damage. Or you may put that many delay counters on Delaying Shield instead. So if you took 10 damage, you could put 10 counters on Delaying Shield. Fair. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove all delay counters from Delaying Shield. For each delay counter removed this way, you lose 1 life unless you pay a colorless and a white. So this is a way to, you know, of course, as kind of the name of the card indicates, you're delaying damage. You are like, okay, I'm going to take 10 damage at the beginning of my upkeep. There's, of course, now, you know, if someone did like 100 damage to you in 1 turn, and then you're like, okay, destroy enchantment. Now, if you destroy the enchantment, you don't have to worry about the delay counters, and you basically prevented 100 damage, which is okay. I mean, that's pretty good. But I think like the main thing, of course, was Zedruu here, is that you can use his ability, and at instant speed, because it's just an activated mana ability, you can, or I guess not a mana ability. It's an activated ability that doesn't require him to tap. There we go. And basically, you're like, oh, okay, you did 20 damage to me. I'm going to use Zedruu, and I'm going to give you or some other person this enchantment now. And so now Delaying Shield, when it comes to their turn, will be doing 20 damage to them, which is pretty good. I like it. It's a interesting way to go about Zedruu, and basically, I think sort of like doing a pinging thing, or doing kind of like you could even do tokens and stuff. So basically, you give people like 1/1 tokens that don't do anything for them, but it gives you a card draw and life, and you can just basically be like, okay, here's a token, and it's not a big deal to them, and they could probably easily get rid of it, but still sort of technically helps them, and you could probably politics it a little bit. But I think it's interesting that you can go a completely different way than like full stacks or something. But this is just kind of like an interesting way to go about Zedruu and just doing different things. And I'm hopefully will be building that soon, because it kind of like really piqued my interest, because I've always wanted to use Zedruu but do something completely different with him. So I think that's kind of a way I'm going to go about it. And if I ever get that out, I'll probably post it somewhere in here. But we will be ending off the night with a couple of random cards as usual. So for random card number 1, we have Cephalid Coliseum. This is a land, and you can tap. You can add a blue, and it deals 1 damage to you. Okay. And this is, if you're wondering, by the way, this is gold border. So the gold border was from World Champion decks, as we can kind of see here. And basically World Champion decks were just kind of like a fun way where the gold border indicates that they aren't tournament legal or supposed to be legal in Magic in general. But this was a way for people to get these cards, and they like, I think it's like, you know, like $10 or something. And it's like, here's what the world champions, like, you know, like the top 8 people in the world championship had. So now you can play with them for fun, and you don't have to worry about like the high prices. It's a really neat idea. But the gold border basically is what made these cards not as worth it. And I think these gold borders finally went up in price randomly one day. But anyways, going on, this other ability here has Threshold. You pay a blue, you tap it, and you sacrifice it. Target player draws 3 cards, then discards 3 cards. Activate this ability, only have 7 more cards are in your graveyard. So kind of an interesting card. I just want to look at the from the vault. This is a newer version of it, so it has a different artwork. I guess I like the newer artwork a little bit better. From the vault, I can't remember if this is the same one, but there was one of these kind of like, I think it was from the vault that had like a really weird foiling, and it feels fake. It basically just feels fake, and I don't know if that's the type. I'm not a huge fan of those, but anyways, regardless, the old Odyssey's fine. But so it's pretty cool for like I see this being good for like Sultai if you can go for, of course, Dredge. I love Dredge. But basically draw 3, discard 3. This lets you get stuff out of your hand you don't need, or etc. And this is also at least lets you tap for blue. So and it's not coming into play tapped either. So this is basically a land, has a slight downside with damage, but then you get a huge upside with the draw 3, discard 3. Especially if you are using it for like Dredge or something along those lines. So very cool card. I like that one. And random guard number 2. Venerable Monk is a 2 colorless white creature, human monk cleric. It's a lot of subtypes, and it's a 2/2. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life. So it's a cleric. Clerics do these kind of things. It's whatever. Not a big deal. But see. Let's leave his presence brings not only a strong arm, but also renewed hope. Well, how inspiring. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.